Okay, so one of the things that you always hear reiterated, and especially by the Palestinian side, is called the Nakba. And this is the definition on Wikipedia, is also known as the Palestinian catastrophe, was the destruction of Palestine society and homeland in 1948. And so in the why do Israel violate the British mandate? Do they take more land than agreed upon? The Palestinians want liberation, want freedom from Israeli rule. Can you just talk about that and why they feel that the Israelis have occupied their land and basically taken them over?
Well, again, when you're talking about the Nakba, that is that migration of Arabs out of Israel prior to the attack of the 5 Arab armies that came down against Israel. And so what happened was they ended up leaving because they were promised Israeli land. So they end up leaving and going into these different areas. And we still have Palestinian refugees, for example, in Lebanon. There were Palestinian refugees in Jordan. There were Palestinian refugees. They were in Gaza, and that was Egyptian territory, and that's where they kept them. And so you have all these Arab nations that continue to keep Palestinians in segregated areas. They won't let them integrate into Arab countries, whether you're talking about the Lebanese or talking about the Jordanians or talking about the Egyptians before Gaza was taken over by Israel. And so at the very same time that was taking place, when the armies came in against Israel, the Jews in Iraq and in Egypt and in Lebanon, in all these Arab territories, were thrown out. And they were persecuted, and their lands were taken. Their land was stolen from them, and they literally came down to Israel with just what they had on their backs. And so the very same thing that the Palestinians are complaining about is the same things that happened to the Jews under Arab rule. The difference is that the Jews didn't leave willingly. They wanted to remain in those Arab states, and the Arabs drove them out. And when you're talking about this situation with the Palestinians, one of the problems that the Jews have with these people is that they literally walked out of everything that they owned, hoping to take from the Israelis everything that they had, and now they want what they owned back.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's the issue. The other issue that takes place in this situation, and this is what's fomented most of the problems that you have between the Israelis and the Arab nation. It's not even the Arab nations, it's the Palestinians within the Arab nations. And the problem that's taken place there is when all the Jews, for example, came down from Iraq. I know a lady who her whole family had to come down from Iraq. They were thrown out of Iraq at that period of time. And when they came down to Israel, the Israelis allowed them to emigrate, and they made them a part of Israeli society. And that has not been the case with the Palestinians. They're not made part of Egyptian society or Lebanese or Iraqi or so forth. And so you have this group of people that are kept in refugee camps and in awful situations, and it's to keep the pressure on Israel basically, when they could do exactly the same thing that the Israelis did in taking in their people. And so, as a matter of fact, the numbers of people that left Israel, as far as the Arabs, and people that entered Israel, as far as the Jews being thrown out of Arab lands, was almost exactly the same number. And so, from the Israeli point of view, they're like, you know what? The Arabs don't want to let you in their lands. That's where you need to take care of this. That's where you need to be talking to these people.